Iran is threatening to irreversibly destroy vital infrastructure across the region if the U.S. and Israel attack its power plants and other infrastructure. That comes after President Donald Trump vowed to obliterate Iran's power plants unless Tehran fully reopens the Strait of Hormuz. The warning came after Iran's envoy to the UN's maritime agency said the waterway remains open to all shipping except what he called enemy-linked vessels. President Trump has given Iran a 48-hour deadline set to expire in the early hours of Tuesday in Iran. On Truth Social, he posted that if the route is not open fully and without threat, the strikes would hit Iran's largest power plants first. This ultimatum comes just a day after he suggested winding down the war. Iran's military command responded quickly. It says any U.S. strikes would trigger attacks on energy, desalination and information technology infrastructure tied to the U.S. in the region. For people across the region, that raises concerns about essential services and daily life. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom is distancing itself from the threat. British Cabinet Minister Steve Reid says President Trump was speaking for himself. He says the UK is focused on protecting its own interests and working with allies to de-escalate tensions. Iran has stepped up its strikes, and the impact is being felt by civilians and military forces alike. In southern Israel, missile strikes have wounded more than 100 people. Air defense systems failed to stop the incoming projectiles. Missiles hit the cities of Arad and Dimona. That includes an area near a sensitive nuclear site, a rare breach of Israeli defenses. Emergency teams report at least 84 people hurt in Arad and 33 in Dimona. Israel's military says it will investigate how those missiles got through. Iran is calling the strike on Dimona retaliation for an earlier attack on its nuclear facility at Natanz. Israel denies carrying out that operation. Dimona is widely believed to house Israel's only nuclear arsenal, though that has never been officially confirmed. Across the Gulf, more countries are on alert. The United Arab Emirates says its air defenses intercepted Iranian missiles and drones. A projectile also exploded near a commercial vessel off its coast. In Saudi Arabia, 3 ballistic missiles were detected near the capital. One was intercepted, the others landed in uninhabited areas. Officials there say about 6 drones have been intercepted. In Iraq, officials report 8 overnight attacks targeting a U.S. diplomatic and logistics center at Baghdad's international airport. The United States says it is maintaining pressure. Newly released video shows American strikes on ground targets at an undisclosed location. Washington says its focus remains on limiting Iran's ability to project power. Ross Cullen is tracking developments for CNA, and he joins us live from Van in Türkiye. Ross, thank you for joining us. Now, we've seen numerous reports of Iranian attacks across the Gulf. How are things where you are?
Well, today it marks Nowruz, the 21st of March, so the Persian New Year, very important date in the Kurdish calendar, Kurdish community here in Turkey, obviously in Syria, in Iraq and Iran as well. And there are Iranians who've come to Nowruz to try to celebrate. But one man I spoke to did say that it was impossible to get into a festive atmosphere, and he was planning to go back to Tehran as soon as possible. He didn't say if he was pro-regime or pro-opposition. He might be neither. He simply said he was a university professor, but every day in Tehran, buildings were being blown up. People were being killed and children are very scared. So despite those attacks that we've seen from Iran on countries in the Gulf like Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, there has been restraint so far. But in a call with other Gulf nations on Saturday, they did say that they might have to resort to countermeasures if Iran's attacks continue.
Now, Ross, Iran is warning it could irreversibly destroy infrastructure across the region if its own are targeted. What could this mean for regional stability?
I love you, I love you.
Well, the situation is that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, has actually just spoken recently in the last few minutes saying that because of the Iran attacks that you were mentioning at the start of the program, Cocking, on areas in Israel that are related to where it has its nuclear research facilities, Israel is going to personally target each Iranian leader. Iran says that there could be irreversible destruction coming if the attacks on Iran don't abate. So we will have to see if the move by Iran to say that any vessel in the Strait of Hormuz that's not flagged as what it describes as an enemy vessel and it's allowed safe passage, if that move by Tehran does satisfy the United States and Israel.
Thank you so much for that update. Cullen there reporting for CNA live from Van in Turkey.